It had been years since I last saw the house. The road leading here was the same, narrow, cracked, and too quiet for a place that once held laughter. I told myself I came back to see what was left. But when I reached the gate, it already stood open, like it had been waiting. The grass reached my knees. Every step sounded too loud, like the earth didn't recognize my weight anymore. The air smelled the same, dust, wood, and the faint scent of rain. But under it all, there was something else, something warm, like breath. I stopped a few feet from the front porch. The paint had peeled off the door, revealing veins of old wood beneath. I used to sit there as a kid, watching storms crawl across the fields. Now, the door looked older than I remembered, but not tired. It looked alert. I reached out and touched the doorknob. Cold, but it wasn't the cold of metal. It was the kind that moves, like the pulse of something alive. And for a moment, I felt the strangest thing, the faint pressure of another hand, touching back from the other side. The wind stopped. The world outside went still, and then, without a sound, the door unlocked itself. The hinges groaned softly, not like wood, but like a sigh of recognition, as if the house had been holding its breath, waiting for my return. The door moved on its own, slowly, quietly, as though it didn't want to startle me. The sound was low, a groan that felt more like breath than wood. And when the light from outside fell into the hallway, the air inside shimmered, as if the dust was waking up too. I hesitated, not because I was afraid, but because it felt wrong to interrupt. The house had been asleep for years, and somehow my hand had become the thing that woke it. I stepped across the threshold, and the floorboards creaked once, a sound too soft to be a complaint, too steady to be random. It sounded like a heartbeat. The smell hits me first. Old wood, wet fabric, and something faintly sweet. It reminded me of my mother's perfume, the kind she used to wear when she tucked me in before storms. But she'd been gone for 10 years. And yet, the scent was fresh, as if she'd just left the room. I reached back to close the door, but it refused to move. It didn't jam. It resisted, like it didn't want to be shut. And when my fingers brushed the edge of the frame, I felt it again, that faint pulse beneath the wood, alive, remembering. There were marks near the doorknob, faint impressions, as though hands had pressed there countless times, not deep enough to be damage, just soft, dense, shaped exactly like mine. I traced one of them with my thumb, and the door let out a long, slow exhale. That's when I realized it wasn't opening for me. It was opening to me. The hallway was darker than it should have been. No lights, no sound, but still, I could see enough to walk. The air felt heavier here, like each breath had to move through years of stillness. Every step I took echoed softly, but the echoes didn't match. They came back, slower, like someone else was walking behind me. The walls were covered in faded photographs. I didn't remember hanging them, but each one was familiar. The kitchen, the yard, the stairs. Every picture looked like a memory I'd already forgotten, and yet the faces inside them were watching me, softly smiling, as if they knew something I didn't. That's when I heard it. A whisper right beside my ear. Not words, not yet. Just the rhythm of speech. The sound of someone trying to remember how to talk. Then it came again. Clearer this time, a voice so soft it could fabe in my own. You left the door open. I turned around. But the hallway behind me was longer than before. The open door at the far end seemed farther away now. Just a thin shape of gold light swallowed by the dark. The air was cold. And I could hear movement from the walls, like wood expanding or lungs learning to breathe. Then the photographs began to whisper, not all at once, slowly, like a ripple. I could hear them saying my name, each voice a different age, a different version of me. A child's laughter, a man's sigh, a quiet sob that sounded too recent to be memory. And for the first time, I understood the house wasn't haunted, it was remembering me. I stopped at the end of the hallway. There was a small table there, the one my father used to leave his keys on. The wood had darkened with age, but the surface was clean. Too clean, except for one mark. A single handprint, fresh, glistening in the light that wasn't there a moment ago. E touched it. It was still warm. The shape fit perfectly. Each line, each ridge, as if the wood had molded itself to me. When I pulled my hand away, the mark didn't fade. Instead, another appeared beside it, smaller, like a child's. I looked around, and suddenly I could see them. On the walls, on the doorknobs, on the glass of the picture frames. Hundreds of them. Some old, some recent. All different sizes, but every one of them mine. Every single one. The ire thickened, and I could feel the wood breathing under my fingertips. It pulsed, slow, heavy, like a heart buried beneath the walls. And then, from the direction of the front door, a sound, the soft click of a lock turning, followed by a whisper that traveled through the floorboards. Don't leave again. I ran my hand along the wall, and the walls answered. Every touch echoed like memory. Every mark glowed faintly for a second, then vanished into the grain of the wood. And in that moment, I realized something that froze me where I stood. This house wasn't remembering me. It was learning me. I walked back toward the door. Each step sounded heavier than the last, as if the house was holding on to me with every breath. The air felt thicker near the entrance, not cold, not warm, just dense, like the space itself was aware that I was about to leave. If leaving was still possible. The door stood open, just enough for the light outside to spill in. Dust floated in that light, each particle moving slower than time. I could hear the soft hum again, the one I'd felt beneath the wood earlier. But now it was stronger, rhythmic, alive. I reached out, and the surface pulsed once beneath my palm. Not like a memory this time, like recognition. The warmth spread up my arm, slow and deliberate, until I couldn't tell where my skin ended and the wood began. It wasn't holding me. It was merging with me. Then came the voice, soft, close, everywhere. You came back. I wanted to say no, that I was just visiting, that I didn't belong here. But the door groaned, and I realized the truth. I hadn't come back. I'd never left. The door began to close, slowly, without force, without malice. The light narrowed to a thin line, then to a sliver, then nothing. And in that final breath of darkness, I heard the sound of wood settling, and it sounded like my own sigh. Now the house is quiet again, waiting, remembering, learning.